I'm Spencer Claypool. I'm the head esports director over at Cumberland University in Lebanon, Tennessee, right outside Nashville. I've been the director for the last 3 years. I started for the program from the ground up in the fall of 2021. Once I graduated from Cumberland myself with my master's degree. And the massive change since year one to year now. We started off with 4 empty walls and 9 players. And now we have 7 practice rooms, a full lounge, a full production room, 55
Oh,
players, and
wow.
13 championships.
Started up in, what you said, 2021. The whole gaming competitive side in general has kind of grown here recently. How has it been, kind of riding that wave of starting it up, starting from the ground up to where it is now?
So, for my background, I come from traditional sports. I played football my whole life. I played football in college. So, of course, when you're going into playing a traditional sports, you always play the game at the end of after practice, everything as well. And so, esports was always a big thing for me because I always loved playing people for Madden.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was my game. I've
Mm-hmm.
won so much money playing the game of Madden against some of my boys, some of my old teammates, everything as well. Like it was such a great thing. But once COVID hit, everybody's at home.
Mm-hmm.
That there's nothing else you can do other than play the game, dude.
Right.
And so some programs had an esports team, and they were able to still compete. Nobody else had to like they didn't have to cancel. Everybody else had to cancel.
Mm-hmm.
Like you didn't have football games, you didn't have soccer games, you didn't have basketball.
Right.
But what you did? You had your Madden match, you had your Valorant
Yeah.
match, you had your Overwatch match, and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that you could watch because you could play at home. And
Yeah.
so once this opportunity came up, like I said, it was coming right out of COVID. And for me personally, I was like, sure, why not? I love games. I'm a huge competitor. This is something I think it'd be super cool to, dip my feet in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never a career path that I planned on doing.
Mm-hmm.
I double major in biology and chemistry in college. I got an exercise and sports science master's degree once I came to Cumberland. And so, like, my original plan was to go to PT school
Mm-hmm.
and really just, try to go that route. But, this opportunity came up. I'm a big faithful man. I feel like God opened the door, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know what's. I never question it. I even have a tattoo in my arm that says "Expect the unexpected" because you just never know what's really next. And then so, like, coming in the fall 2021, it was kind of one of those things that you know there's no set blueprint of an esports program. If you want to, have the best dominant college football team, you're going to look at the Alabamas, the Georgias, Texas
Right.
A&M's, LSU's, somebody that has the structure and everything. For esports, there's nothing like that.
What was that conversation like with the school? Because obviously you had to get people on board to the
Well,
idea of
well,
esports
so
in general.
well, so the best thing about it was they came to me about it first.
Oh, okay.
I was I was a graduate assistant here, and I worked for the sports information department. So,
Mm-hmm.
I worked writing all the articles for all the teams and everything like that. And then our athletic director was like, "Hey, we're thinking about starting this. Would you be interested?" And like I said, it was one of those things that I played video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I'm very competitive, and I was like, why not just dabble into it? You
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe just give it a year. If I don't like it, there's no harm, no foul type of
Mm-hmm.
thing into it. But, you know, it's so crazy how fast esports has grown since I've started as well.
Mm-hmm.
Currently right now, I think there's over like 650 schools that compete in esports, which is absolutely insane. You're now seeing more of your Division 1 schools start to dip into esports and everything as well. Just because at the end of the day, I always say esports is the best sport for everybody. You know,
Yeah.
like for football, if you're not 6'6", 270, you're gonna get overlooked.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't care if you're 4'11", 7'9". I don't care if you have any type of disability, anything like. For me, I'm here for your competition, how good you're at the game, and everything as
Mm-hmm.
well. There's nothing that I will ever overlook somebody because of anything that they may have. For
Mm-hmm.
me, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis last year, an autoimmune disease and a disease that I have to deal with, on a daily and everything
Right.
as well. So I get monthly infusions once a month. But there's some people that would overlook a player like that. I'm never going to do that.
Right.
But at any time, the MS could take me out and put me in a wheelchair. you know it. If I had some player that was in a wheelchair, it's perfect. He still can compete, and
Mhm.
it's one of those things that I really enjoy. That esports is for everybody. Esports is for everybody, man.
Mhm.
And you really get to see people come out of their shell because you see a lot of people the moment that they put a headset on, they're a totally different person.
I mean,
And
sometimes for good and for bad.
100%. I've seen it personally because I play traditional sports, but this esports program is what really breaks them out of their shell. Really is like, hey, this is how I actually really am as a person and everything as well, instead of just being behind a screen the whole time.
Some of the games you brought up, Madden, NCAA. What else did you kind of play like growing up? And what was kind of your jam?
It's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Everybody played Call of Duty. Madden for sure, my go-to game. And then for me, I really like open world type of games. I like games that are very strategic,
Mhm.
games that you can play for 10 hours and you've only completed 3% of the game. Those are the type of games that I love.
Talk to me a little bit about how somebody would go about wanting to be on the esports team. What are the steps? What is the conversation with people as far as onboarding, as far as conversations with parents?
I take a different step than I would say a lot of programs do. I run my program like a traditional sport program.
Mhm.
We're very structured. We have time practices. Everybody knows what everything is going to go on throughout
Mhm.
that week. Say I left for 2 weeks, it would still go smooth because everybody knows. Recruiting players and stuff like that, I enjoy going to high schools, talking to the players in person. Because the big thing is you talk to a lot of recruits on Discord or Twitter and stuff like
Mhm.
that, you know, but you can only get so much out of just a phone call. If I do talk to a player or anything, I'm like, hey, come on campus, see our facility, come meet me in person, meet the players, everything as well, because you feel like a better connection of the program when you actually get to see it in person. I can sit here and tell you about my program all day, but so can 50 other directors. It's more of getting the feel of like, wow, this place actually means what they're saying at the
Mhm.
end of the day. But when it comes to the parents, there are still some parents that are like completely mind blown that this is even a thing. I
Yeah.
have those conversations all the time. But I think, the world's going to technology. I actually am working with the state of Tennessee high school league potentially to host the state championship here at our
Oh.
facility and everything as well. Just because, esports is still so new. But like I said, it gives everybody a chance to compete.
Mhm.
Like, I have former football players on my team. I have former soccer players on my team, basketball
Mhm.
players. Like everybody plays games at the end of the day,
Yeah.
even if they want to admit it or not. Recruiting, like, the big thing, like how you send like huddle clips, you send film and stuff like that. We really get players into trials with either our players or our other recruits or anything like that, so we can evaluate. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like a weekend football camp type of
Mhm.
thing. So we're like, hey, if we're playing Valorant, hey, you say you're a great flex player. I want to see your duelist. And then
Mhm.
next map, I want to see your smokes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Just to always have a idea of what type of player you're going to have coming in,
Mhm.
which is how every sport should be at the
Right.
end of the day. And then,
Mhm.
when they come in the fall, because we do a 3 week long boot camp
Okay.
before school even starts. So it is 3 weeks of just straight esports.
Mm.
Team bonding, team lunches, team dinners, team breakfast, title talk, big activities with other sports teams here and everything like that. And then
Mhm.
from like 6 to like 10, then that's when they're on the game, really trying to fight for their spot.
Talk about what it takes to actually make it in esports. Like it is an actual sport.
I always love comparing esports to other traditional sports and everything as well. So I always compare it to football. Football is what I grew up with and everything as well. So I mean, it's the same way. You know, we're playing so and so on Thursday. Here is their last game. So you're watching their film,
Yeah.
how they move, what type of agents they're going to use. If this person is very aggressive, does this person peak a lot? Everything
Mhm.
as well. Like, and then going into practice, I mean, we practice 5 days a week outside of games. It is one of those things that a lot of people think is I just get on the game and I play. There's not a lot of preparation for it.
Mhm.
And that is what I think is honestly the sad part about it, is because a lot of people won't ever grasp that.
Mhm.
But I have my players are in here 20, 25 hours outside of just practice and games and stuff like that because they're watching film. They're going
Mhm.
over strats. They're trying to figure out how they're going to beat this opponent. I have players that look 3 weeks in advance to try to prep for those opponents and everything
Mhm.
as well. Like there's so much that goes into it because it's not the physical aspect of it now. It's now all
Right.
the mental aspect of it. The moment your mental's chalked, man, your game can go straight downhill. These big tournaments that we do, like collegiate Valorant, college COD. Like yesterday, my COD team played for 10 hours yesterday. And the thing though is, it gets mentally draining. The same thing with like conditioning for football. We're gonna put you through the repetitions. So the moment that it is overtime, there's 2 minutes left, you are dead tired. What are you gonna do? That is, I think, what really makes us stand out and really puts us into a higher category when it comes to esports programs.
Mhm.
It's going to be long days. It's
Yeah.
going to be stressful and everything like that. But it's not stressful when you get to hold that trophy at the end.
Yeah.
Those championship rings.
What's next, you think? I mean, obviously growing stages, I guess, but what's next as far as the program? Add more players? Is it just continuing what you got and kind of just expanding on that? How do you see your expansion of the program down the road?
So for me, no, I always look to expand. I never want to be stagnant. I always want to at least be somehow moving forward, whether that's, one step a day or a huge leap. Like it's something I always feel like we need to move forward because with esports, like I said, there's no right way. And so a lot of people do get stagnant
Mhm.
when it comes to esports because, they're like, oh, I'm doing great. I'm just going to just stay right here. And then
Mhm.
something happens and now they're 10 steps back. I went from 9 players to 25 players year 2 and then going into year 3, which is this year, I increased my team by 30 plus players due to the fact of I want to be highly competitive.
Mhm.
I want to give these players opportunities. Every player on my team is on scholarship. They get some type of money to help pay for their school. And it's one of those things that once we can maybe establish a pathway, it'll help a ton. But,
Mhm.
we're no esports program is sanctioned by anything. Some are like under athletics and everything like that, but the
Yeah.
NCAA hasn't sanctioned esports, the NAIA hasn't sanctioned esports. So that is where I feel like is going to go next. Do I think it's going to happen here shortly? No, I think it's still going to take a few years. Like with AI, we see with everything like this, like, you know, technology, esports is this type of thing.
Mhm.
I have players that have won hundreds of thousands of dollars playing games. I have players that are creating their own games. I just recruited a kid that flies drones for his high school. That type of knowledge, say they want to go into the military, will go work for Microsoft to be a game developer, do stuff like that. This allows them to, go to school, get a scholarship, allows them to use their abilities to, help pay for school at the end of the day
Mhm.
while they enjoy playing the game that they love. The next big step for me and my program is to always to continue to grow. So currently, right now, we're bringing in two new titles this year, going
Mhm.
into next year, Rainbow Six and CS:GO, and so we'll be competing in 9 competitive titles. And so we're super stoked to bring in those 2 titles. Valorant, it was the fastest growing esport. So we brought in Valorant this year, and that I think that really shows the growth of my program for sure.
Mhm.
Because if you look from last semester, we just started a Valorant team, and we ended at number 25 in the country. Now, currently, right now, we're at number 11 in the country, and we've
Mhm.
only had a Valorant team for 8 months. So it's the extra work my players have put in, the dedication, my coaches that have put in that extra work, and everything as well to get us to that spot. A lot of people, like you said, just overlook it, everything as well, but there's so much that goes into it
Yeah.
at the end of the day. The biggest thing is we're going to always keep growing. We're always going to try to be the best. I hate
Mhm.
losing. I want to be the best that I can be at the end of the day. And, I enjoy what I do. This is something that I honestly was just going to just dabble my toes into it and hope that anything cool would happen. But
Mhm.
I've grown so attached to my program because I got to see it flourish from day one to now. The enjoyment that I get to see from the players when they get to come into practice, when they get to win those championships, when they get to do all this.
Locally, because we are around the same area, so we understand logistically what's going on around here. So if you're not from the Tennessee area, I'm sorry about it. This is not necessarily been like a hotbed for esports. Now we always had like Madden tournaments here and
Yeah.
there, but nowhere did we really have like a hub for, hey, this is where you go for games, or hey,
Yep.
this is where, it was all mostly a online type of thing. Has there been any thoughts or any talks about you guys like throwing your own tournaments, or I guess I'm not sure how many other schools kind of around here have that sort of program that you guys have. So like, how do you kind of go about like scrimmaging people? How do you go about like, do you have enough people where you can just scrimmage yourselves and it's easier to do that? Do you find other people to scrim against? Like, how do you go about all that?
But for the most part, we can scrimmage any other program. I could scrimmage some team from Cali, a team from Boston, a team from Florida, stuff like that. So we usually have like set scrim partners that we know that are going to be very competitive, really punish us if we make mistakes and everything as
Mm-hmm.
well. Which that's a very trial and error type of thing to see
Mm-hmm.
who's going to be the best scrim partner.
Mm-hmm.
For our program ourselves, we are in a great location because we are right outside Nashville, where our facilities are located. It's like half a block off the school too. So you're not even on school like big campus. You are in a separate location, which is also great as well. Because we're looking to host, I would say, summer camps
Yeah.
for middle school kids, and then a summer camp for a high school group, and then potentially do like an overnight camp and
Mm-hmm.
everything as well. Just because why not do it? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like people go to football camps, everything all the time. Come learn from our player that was a Fortnite pro.
Mm-hmm.
Come learn from our Valorant player who's number 4th on the leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
Come learn from one of my coaches that has been in tier 1 esports. Like, it's stuff like that. For me, like, Dion is always my go-to idol of how he completely changed like Colorado around.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I want to give those type of opportunities to my players, to people
Mm-hmm.
around the surrounding counties and everything as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a signing day, a high school, I think about an hour up the road, from a kid that signed to come play with us in the fall. I enjoy doing that type of thing. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't get to see a signing days for esports, but they're having like a big signing day at his high school. Like, that's the stuff that I enjoy, love to do.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
we hosted a little Valorant tournament, an in-person Valorant tournament, actually beginning of this semester, where we brought
Mm-hmm.
in 15 high schoolers, 3 other colleges, and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
held a 2-day long Valorant tournament. And it was super cool like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
as we continue to grow, going back to like the growth thing, like that is something that I want to do. Bring the high schools in,
Yeah.
bring in the other colleges.
The fact that you guys are giving out scholarships for it too. I mean, that is sort of, how long has that been going on? Because obviously that does play a factor in, hey, I'm actually gonna get money to go to school to actually do this.
It's been a thing since we started the program. We're based under athletics. We're a full
Okay,
varsity
cool.
athletic team. So we have our own athletic trainer. Our players go through physicals. I have 2 days set for our school's gym where our players go work out. It's one of those things that under the catalog, we are a varsity team. We are a
That's cool.
varsity team. We get our a athletic budget, so we travel to lands and
Mm-hmm.
competitions. So it's super cool that we get to be like, hey, we think that you are good at the game. Here's X, Y, and Z. Come play
Mm-hmm.
for us. We'll always have our players engaged with us throughout the
Mm-hmm.
summer. It's nothing like, oh, hey, we have practice 5 days a week. It'll probably be just one of those things like, hey, we're seeing that there's a tournament coming up
Mm-hmm.
in June. Hey, we're going to start practice about a week, 2 weeks beforehand to get you guys
Mm-hmm.
into this tournament. Really just to keep them engaged and make sure they're not rusty when they come into the fall and
Mm-hmm.
everything as well. Because
Mm-hmm.
my starting 5 on my Valorant team right now may not be my starting 5 at next fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every position is open when you come in. So if you're coming in rusty, you're putting
Yeah.
yourself
Feel
at
you.
a huge
Yeah.
disservice. And so it's one of those things that we really try to get them engaged and everything. And then throughout the summertime, redo like what our facility looks like and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. That's always so cool because each title that we compete in has their own practice room. And so
Okay.
Overwatch has their own room, Rocket League has their own room, Valorant has their own room, and stuff like that. And so going into like customize each room
Mm-hmm.
for that specific title is just always so fun.
Last question for you. When these tournaments and stuff, is there ways people can watch? I want to check this out, man. I want to see what y'all about.
We're always on Twitch, CU Esports 21. All of our socials and our Twitch is CU Esports 21. Twitter is where we post everything. Twitter is the biggest esports platform there is. We really harp on graphics, and we harp on sending out streams and sending out everything to let our followers, everything know what's going on in our program. I put out 500 Easter eggs, and I watched all these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids go have the most fun of their life searching for Easter eggs. So we have a little video of that on there. It's just super cool stuff like that. But yeah, any way people want to follow us, catch up with us, everything like that, it's CU Esports 21. And definitely follow us on Twitch, man. I mean, we stream all the time as the season's slowly dying down. We're not going to be playing as much, but during the regular season, I think we play like 36, 37 games a week. We are streaming everything.
Because I'm definitely checking out y'all down the street. You know how we roll in Tennessee, like basically family.